Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Holly and today we're going to do another fountain pen ink challenge. So this tag is brought to us by a creator known as Ginger Peachy. She has created a playlist of all the people that have responded, or a good chunk of them that have responded to her hashtag InkRainbow23. So let's get started. I'm going to start using the Tomoe River paper. It is super fountain pen friendly, and this is in my Hobonichi planner, and it just displays fountain pen inks and all of their wondrous qualities and colors so well. Let's come in a little closer so we can get the full spectrum on these favorite inks. I think the first color we're going to start with in the rainbow is pink. And the pink that I chose, I used to have a bottle of this and I used it all up, is a Teranishi guitar ink called Opera Rose. And I just got a teeny tiny 1.5 milliliter sample from St. Louis Art Supply. They were about the only one that had even samples of this. So this is a lovely dusty pink color that I'm just particularly taken with. I use this a lot in the autumn. And that's Teranishi guitar ink in Opera Rose. I'll come in for a close-up once we get them all swatched. The next is going to be red. And guys, I'm a big sample person. I love purchasing samples. I usually only let myself buy a bottle of ink, and I have to wait until I've used at least 2, sometimes 3 samples up before I'm allowed to buy an actual full bottle of it. I don't want to have to store all the bottles of ink, and I feel like there are only so many that I'm going to be able to write with at one time. This is a Sailor ink in the red. It's a Sailor Manyo ink in a color called Yumi. Next up is the orange category, and for that I selected the Tag Stationery Kaio Airo Moonlight of Higashiyama. And it's a lovely golden orange. What the heck? What is that? What is that? Oh. Okay. There's a blob of something. The next category is yellow, and I had a hard time with this because I don't have a lot of yellow inks because I purposefully do not buy inks that I cannot write with and have them be legible. And yellow, that's a tough one to find one that's going to be legible because they're all so light, or typically so light. So I got a variation on yellow. This one I haven't actually ever written with this one, unlike all the other inks in my top selections. Are inks that I have inked up fountain pens with and written in my journal or at work. This one was not one that I have used, but it is fabulous. It is Van Diemen's European Honeybee Eater Chin. I know that seems like a weird name, but they based this line on birds. And it is a close approximation of the chin of a European honeybee eater, because I looked it up. And I received this sample in an ink journal subscription box. So that was fun, because I wouldn't have purchased this color on my own. And it is probably the absolute brightest you're going to see in this selection. Most of these, again, tend to be on the darker side. Now for the category of green. In green, I selected the Troublemaker ink Sea Glass. It's a lovely sage green to me. Now for blue. Now I don't have a lot of blue inks. I'm not a big fan of blue inks, probably because one of the pens I was forced to use in school was a very much chewed upon Bic blue ballpoint pen, and I've hated that color ever since. So I think there are a lot of people that have had a similar experience. So I don't have very many blue inks because I don't tend to like to write with them. Now this is an ink that I just purchased from St. Louis Art Supply Company, and it is a very deep blue that I think is real pretty. I'm going to put that lid back on there because I am very likely going to tip over an ink sample that's that small. It barely has enough weight to it to sustain itself upright. This is also a Teranishi guitar ink like the pink was, but this is called Smoky Navy. And I have a pen loaded with this, a fountain pen loaded with this right now. And I very much enjoy that blue, which in the fine tip fountain pen that I'm using it in comes off as almost black anyway, so it hardly even looks blue. Okay, we're going to shift over here. The next category is teal, and I had a very hard time with this, distinguishing between a light green, a light blue, a teal, or a turquoise, particularly teal and turquoise. I selected one that I thought fit the bill. It may not suit everyone in the teal category, but oh well. These are my favorites, and I get to pick for the categories. So anyway, enjoy this one. This is Waringal Wayfarer, and it is a lovely, I think, a lovely teal with some shimmer as well as some sheening qualities to it. Hopefully you'll be able to see those qualities as this ink dries. The next category is purple, and I may earn a few hateful comments from this, but I don't like purple. Purple is my least favorite color, and therefore my least favorite fountain pen ink color. Not to say there aren't some pretty purples out there, they're just not for me. However, recently I purchased this little sample from Goulet Pens. It's Robert Oster's Summer Storm, and some may argue with me, this is a blue. It's kind of a bluey pink. It's not purple. Well, I think it's purple, so it's going in the purple category. Besides, I don't have a lot of purple inks to choose from, so. But it is, of the purples that I have, my favorite so far. Okay, now for the next category, which I also found just as confusing as the teal/turquoise category. Magenta. What is magenta? I always kind of considered magenta and pink the same thing, but I have a magenta ink that I really enjoy, and it is also a Waringal ink called Pride and Prejudice, one of my favorite books of all time, and one of my favorite inks. This ink has some sheening properties, and And man, this ink is like a poke in the eye. This is super, super vivid. And last in the ink rainbow is the brown category. This is a new ink for me. I have only written with it a very short time. It's a Kuretake Ink Cafe called Ibiza. And I'm still sort of settling into this one. It's a deep brown with reddish tones to it, coppery tones to it. I have a couple of extra inks that I would like to include in my ink rainbow. Originally, Ginger Peachy didn't include a category for gray and black inks, but I have a couple of favorites that I'd like to include in my ink rainbow, so I'm going to set those here. The first one is a gray ink by Diamine called Snowstorm. It is a shimmer ink, but I feel like the shimmer is very subtle. It's not super saturated with those glitter particles. And it's dark enough to be quite legible when I've used it to write. And right now, my favorite black ink is by Jacques Herbon, and it's also a shimmer ink. You can see some of that shimmer in there at the bottom. Shrink down up. It has copper shimmer in it called Shogun. Okay, so here they are dried, well, mostly dried, and hopefully you'll be able to see some of the lovely qualities and characteristics of these inks. Some of the shading and sheening and shimmer, chroma shading on some of these. It's just outstanding. And these are my favorites. So if you'd like to see more videos like this one, be sure to check out that hashtag InkRainbow23 or check out Ginger Peachy's channel, where she has a playlist of people who are equally enthusiastic about fountain pens and fountain pen inks. Thanks for joining me, guys. See you next time. Bye now.